Thank you everyone for joining us for this webinar, P3 Ask the Experts, presented by Wouter Verlinden and Bjorn Stolt. My name is Laura Lawrence and I'm the Global Marketing Director at Harman. Just a few things before we get started. Everyone on the call is muted to keep down noise levels during the webinar. However, there is a Q&A function where you can submit questions and they'll answer it throughout today's presentation. This webinar is also being recorded and the link will be made available a few days after this presentation. We do have a number of other webinars taking place over the next few months for audio, lighting, video, and control, and we'd like to encourage you to take a look at the different webinars in our Learning Sessions Workshop series on pro.harman.com. And just so you know, we're adding new sessions daily. We have over 25 sessions scheduled for July and August, so watch for those on the calendar. And now I'd like to introduce you to my colleagues, Wouter Verlinden and Bjorn Stolt, the presenter for today's webinar. Wouter started playing with lights at the age of 14, and in 2009 he joined Martin Professional as a project manager for Martin Visual Solutions. 2 years later, he became a product manager, overseeing all Martin LED video and creative LED product developments, including the P3 system controller platform. Before joining Martin in 2012, Bjorn worked as a freelance production manager, system technician, lighting designer, programmer, and console operator for corporate events and concerts. At Martin, Bjorn is a product specialist for the EMEA region, focusing mainly on entertainment lighting and creative video. Now I'm going to pass it over to you guys.
Thank you, Laura. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, everyone, to this very open Q&A session. So today we don't have any presentation prepared, so it's really about answering questions that we already received from some of you by email. But definitely go in the Q&A box and type in your questions, everything you ever wanted to know about P3, stuff that might be in the pipeline, new features coming, things you've always struggled with. Just type in the Q&A box, and then we'll take the questions as we go, and we'll just answer questions and show some stuff on the screen as well. So let's get it started. I think, Bjorn, we already had some emails that we got beforehand by email.
Yes, we do have a medium-sized list of questions already, so we can give you guys some time to get started on writing your own questions and everything you want to know. So we'll start with the first one, which is, how can I export a mapping mask from P3 to be used as a template for content creation?
Okay. Yeah, okay. Let me show that, how I usually do it. So actually, for exporting a mapping mask from P3, we actually have a dedicated feature coming. It's on the list of things to get added to P3 software. What I'm using myself for trade shows and events where I make the P3 map, I need to provide a content mask. I use this workaround, which I will quickly show you how I do that. So let's just add a few more fixtures. Let's just add some more fetchons to make it a bit more interesting. So let's just add a few fixtures. Cool. It's not really as symmetric as I wanted it. Cool. So, for example, if you have this, sorry, Bjorn?
No, free-based design.
Yeah, free-based design, not symmetric. I know my OCD normally suffers from that. Yeah. Imagine you have this layout of fixtures, and you need to provide a content creation mask to the team creating the content for this. So the workaround, there will be a dedicated button for it to export this as a PNG or bitmap image. The workaround I use today is I go to the video input screen and I black it out. Of course, I need to disable my DMX. Let's just kill it all for now. I go to my blackout and then I put it, so I put it in blackout and then I put it in fixtures only offline. And then I get this image, and then I, of course, put my scaling to 0, which means it's 1:1. And then I get this image, which, the gray is where there's no fixtures, the black is where there are fixtures. So what I do, I screen grab this on a machine with P3 PC, cut it out. It's going to be 1280 by 720 because that's the resolution I set for this show file. Then I export this, and then in Photoshop, I just change the colors around so the fixtures are white and the background is black, or the other way around, depending on what type of content mask you want. So that's the way I do it. So black it out, display fixtures only, scale your everything to 0. And then what you see here is exactly the resolution of your canvas. Screen grab it, and that is your content mask. But as said, there will be a dedicated export function for that coming, allowing enabling you to do it on any machine, not necessarily being limited to P3 PC and having to do it with a screen grab. So I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, and that would also mean that to do a full HD screen grab with everything in correct scale, you would need a larger than HD resolution monitor, like a 4K screen or something, so you can actually fit the canvas on your screen to be able to screen grab it. Because otherwise,
yeah, correct.
Kind of screwed.
Correct.
Sounds good. No questions on the chat yet, so we'll continue with the other one. Can I map separate video on the Mac Aura PXL his beam versus his Aura LEDs?
Yes,
I'm guessing they mean similar to the video Atomic Dot.
Oh yeah, that's probably that. I don't have the Aura in my library, so I'll quickly shut down and I'll quickly add that to my library. So give me 1 second here.
That's what you get for beta testing new software versions all day long.
That's the thing. I forgot to import Aura PXL personality file. So let me quickly add that. Aura PXL. Library. Here you go. Yes. Yeah, that's fine. What version is this? Oh, it's a debug. So yeah, it's one of the really new ones.
Yeah.
Good. So, and we're back. Actually, I might as well do it full screen. So if you would go to your library and add some of the new Mac Aura PXL fixtures, I'll quickly add a few of those. So what you have on Mac Aura PXL, so for those of you who are not familiar with that fixture, so it's a fixture where you have 19 high power beam LEDs projecting the light out, and then you have 141 Aura LEDs that create the Aura effect. Well, on the P3 you can map them as one fixture, meaning the same video hits both the beam and the Aura. But the P3 also allows you to actually split map it, meaning that you can put different video content on the beam and different video content on the Aura, which I will now show how that works. So what you do is you just select the fixtures, and then there's a function. I'll just zoom in a little bit more. And then you do split. And if you do split, you can actually split out the fixtures, as you can see here. So these is the beam layer of the fixture. As you can see, it's the 19 high power LEDs. It's the 19 bubbles on the lens. So that's video that hits those fixtures would be sent to the beam. And then you have here the Aura layer of the fixture, which you can map completely independent from the beam. And that hits the video playing there, hits the Aura layer of the fixture. So what you would then typically do if you want to double map it is you would put the, yeah, I was right, put the Aura on one side, put the beams on the other side, and then you can, on your video input, let me enable that this way, you could have actually 2 layers of video content running on your media server. So for example, on the left, I would run a piece of content for the beams, and on the right, I would run a piece of content for the Auras. So you can actually have 2 pieces of content running. And of course, because you also control these fixtures with the MX, you can also just say, hey, on the beam, I now want a full color or full white, no video. So you still have for the beam layer and the Aura layer individual control, whether you want video or just DMX control over those LEDs. So if you zoom in a little bit, you now can see that here you have the beams being mapped and here you have the Aura LEDs being mapped. Another thing worth pointing out is that you could also store this in a preset. So I could make a preset where they're split. So if I can record this as a setup preset and I say the auras are split, and then I could just grab them and unsplit them. And now they're back on top of each other. So if you go to video input mode, you will see that the beam and the aura are now aligned with each other again. So I can now just record a separate preset, which would be aura unsplit. And then either from my P3 or from my console, you can actually toggle between the two states. So you can say, hey, for some looks, I just want my auras and my beams to be on the same piece of content. And for some other looks, I want a separate video mapping. So this you can trigger on the P3, but you can also trigger from DMX, because all the presets here at the bottom can be recalled from the DMX layout of the P3 controller. So from your desk, you can also swap around between split and unsplit mode.
Sounds good. Seems to answer that one. We did get first question in on the Q&A side. It comes in as, can I change the canvas size on a project that is already created? I guess, well, you can't really, but you can if you're using P3PC by copy pasting.
Yeah, correct. So yeah, exactly. So right now it's a limitation that when you create a show file, you set its canvas size. So you decide how wide and how high your workspace is and what the pixel resolution, the pixel pitch of that workspace is. You can't change that. It's a limitation of the system right now. The very popular workaround is if you create the show file with a certain canvas size and you figure out, oh, it should have been a different size, you can actually just select all the fixtures, hit copy, and then create a new show with the canvas size you want, and then hit paste, because you can actually copy paste between show files. This is also very handy if you have some layout of fixtures made in one show file and other bits from another show file. You can copy paste and put them together. I've done that a lot of times for trade shows where certain design elements were used the year before, so I copied that part in from a previous show file. And the same way you can copy between show files with a different canvas size.
Sounds good.
Thank you for the question, Ivan, by the way.
Yeah, we go for the next one of the present. Will you support NDI video input in the future via network cards?
That's a good one. Actually, that's actually quite high up on our list. So as you see on P3PC, which is what I'm using right now for this session, you only have screen input. So it means you're doing a screen grab from anywhere on your monitor or a secondary monitor. So what we want to add, actually, it's on the list for 5.3. 5.2 is the one that's coming out this summer. So for version 5.3, we want to add NDI as an input. However, we looked into this, and NDI only seems to be supported on x86, so Intel-based systems. So which means we can only do NDI video inputs on the P3PC, on the P350, 150, and 300, because they are ARM-based systems. As it stands right now, we cannot support NDI video streams on those machines, so they would always be DVI or SDI. So NDI, the network-based video protocol, would be supported on P3PC and maybe in the future on the other machines, but as it stands right now, the Newtek, the inventors of NDI, haven't made an NDI receiver for ARM architecture, which prevents us from bringing it to the hardware-based direct mount P3 controllers. But yes, NDI is going to PC, which would be great if you have a media server somewhere else on the network to send an NDI stream into a computer that runs P3PC, get NDI video input, map the fixtures, and then send P3 to the fixtures out again. So that would be very handy for festivals where you might have a VJ at front of house with some media server or VJ software, get an NDI feed to a P3PC machine backstage.
Yeah, or for pre-programming when you're sending NDI from the media server to your visualizer, then you could also share that feed over to the P3s to get your real video input straight away.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a very good point as well, because as we showed on the session last week, the P3PC is a great visualizer, because if I start to pixel map, it would also show here in my live video input view. So if you could get NDI feed there, then then I don't need to do a screen grab. Then I can get a feed from anywhere in my programming suite, pre-programming suite. Sorry.
Yeah. Then we have the next one is, how do I make a show file with more than 19 video skeptrons horizontally?
Oh yeah. I've heard that question before.
Yeah, quite a few times, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the. So I will actually show what this is about. So if I quickly, I can just make a quick show file. So if I make a new show file with a pixel pitch of 10 millimeter, because it's Skeptron 10, and I make it full HD, which is the largest supported right now. Indeed, let's just put it at full HD here. Indeed, right now, if I would start adding Skeptrons and put them on an angle, indeed, I can keep going, but after 19 fixtures, I'm basically out of space. I'll just add a few, but you'll see where I'm getting at is after 19 fixtures, you're done, because every fixture is 100 pixels and the canvas is only 1920 pixels. So after 19 fixtures, you're done. You're out of space. So there's two ways around this. One is remapping the video content on the media server side, and that's something Bjorn is really familiar with, because he's very experienced in Hippo, for example. So what you then do is on your P3, you lay the fixtures just any way you want. You can actually just, if you want, for example, 30 Skeptrons wide, you would just make 2 lines of 15 on top of each other. And then on the media server, you would actually remap what's coming out, so that on the media server, it behaves as one line, but before it's out on the DVI to the fixtures, it's actually, from that 3000 pixel wide thing, it's re-chopped up and put in 2 lines on top of each other, and that goes to the P3 controller on DVI. So it's basically called, in most media servers, it's called DVI mapper or video mapper or remapper. It basically means you shuffle stuff around on the media server to make it all fit in one full HD stream. Did I explain that a bit correctly, Bjorn?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, you've been around as well for these things where we need, because of physical size of the stage or trade show booth or whatever things we end up with doing, is we end up with something that needs like 40 meters wide. And yeah, on HD, on a 10 mil canvas, that's impossible. So then you would be on 4K canvas. So then you would basically do an input map where you play your content that is 4K in the video, in the media server, and then remap all the creative fixtures in some way that makes logical sense for you. Because you still have to remember that you will be doing your quick addressing in P3 in the P3 view, in the non-remapped or collapsed view. And then if you're getting custom content, you could even go as far as to UV map the fixtures in Cinema 4D or 3D Studio Max or any of those kind of softwares where you get UV polygons for each video surface, and then just create your 3D content. And that is then collapsed down to work on the 2D map. Because so far video is 2D only. So we don't have any way of transferring 3D video yet. I guess that will come somewhere in the future, but as it is now, there's a load of workarounds, but they're semi hard to do in a way, but once you get around it, then it's quite simple to do as well.
Yeah, and another answer to that question about what if my stage is bigger than full HD. Another thing that is actually coming in 5.2, I can't show it. It's kind of the only feature the guys need to add to P3 software 5.2 is we will have a new mapping mode. So in create new, you today have the choice between real world and 1:1 mapping mode. There will be a third mode coming, which is called Freescale. So you will be able to choose Freescale here. And what Freescale means is it allows you to actually scale up as well. So it means that I can say, hey, my stage is 40 meter, 120 feet wide, and then your canvas will be 40 meter, 120 feet wide, meaning you can put like 40 Skeptrons horizontally. But then you also say it is 40 meter, 120 feet wide, but it needs to be filled with full HD, with 1920 times 1080. So in this Freescale mode, the P3 will actually stretch the image to fill that entire canvas. Of course, when you do that, you're scaling up, so it's no longer pixel accurate, but it's a very quick and easy way to just fill all the fixtures with a resolution smaller than the actual resolution of the stage. So that's coming in 5.2 is the Freescale mode that really makes it a lot simpler for shows where you're not bound to be pixel accurate, but where you just want to fill the stage even by scaling up if it needs to be. So that's coming with Freescale in version 5.2.
Yeah, that's going to be amazing for shows where you're not doing a remapping because you maybe don't have a high-res video screen somewhere, but you are filled with creative fixtures like Skeptrons, Allures, Aura PXLs, or Atomic Dots. So then you can just do your creative map in P3 the way it should be and the way it looks in real life, and then actually use it that way. So it makes sense and not have a collapsed one with just everything in boring lines. Yeah,
exactly. And it's like scaling up video in this Freescale mode just to make it fit. I'm pretty sure on a Skeptron, you will need to look very closely to actually see that it's being scaled up. I would never do it with a video wall on the canvas, but with all creative stuff, it's a perfect solution to just make it fit. So that's, I'm really looking
hiding
forward
behind
to
a diffuser. So yeah.
Yes, exactly. Cool.
So guys, you need to ask some questions in the Q&A. We're all here. We're open. Can't believe it's only one question live, and all the other ones are sent in.
Yeah, maybe they all sent their questions by email.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's why we already have them. Anyway.
Should I go the next one presented?
From the emails? Yeah, from the emails. Take one.
Yeah. Can I play with the Mac Aura PXL on the current P3 software, or do I have to wait for the next version?
No, you actually can. So let me just take one of my show files. So the latest public P3 software, so that's 5.10, is compatible with the Mac Aura. It is just missing in the library. So the best thing is to reach out to us. Probably the easiest way is become member of the P3 user group on Facebook. And then just request a file. So the only thing you need to do is go to fixture and firmware library, user library, and then get the Mac Aura PXL file from us. And then you just drag it from the file browser, you drag it to the library on the right. And from that moment on, you will find the Mac Aura PXL in the library, and then you can start playing with it. And as I was doing, you can visualize it, see how it looks, see how it behaves, play with some of the stuff like the scaling functionality or the splitting functionality. So just reach out to us to get a copy of the personality file. Of course, in the next P3 version, the personality file for the Mac Aura PXL will be pre-baked into it, but right now you can take an old P3 software and just manually import the file, just like you import a fixture profile on a console, essentially.
Yeah, sounds good. We crack on with the next one. You're gonna love this one. Is there a remote for the P3, or do you have some kind of workaround? It's always the one you always get.
That's the one I always get. It's it's
stab the knife deeper in your back in that sense.
So for P3, there's two ways of remoting P3. Well, there's three answers to that question. First of all, yes, a real P3 remote is in the works. So it will be basically a P3 PC, either on a Windows or a Mac machine that can remotely connect to a P3 rack mount unit backstage, and then you pull the full control to your P3 PC. So P3 PC will become, as an option, a remote for a P3 controller. So we are indeed working on a full remote for P3, including a Mac version, even though I must admit the fact that Mac is going ARM is kind of making it a little bit more complicated for us. But yes, a full remote is in the works. Of course, that doesn't solve the issue right now that remoting into it is not possible. So there's two things that are really good to be aware of. First of all the hardware-based P3 controllers, so the P350, the P3-150, and the 300, the rack mount units, have a built-in web server. So if you look on the back of the machine, there is a second network port. It's called MGMT management. If you connect that port to a Wi-Fi network or to a corporate network or straight up to the internet, of course, you need to configure the IP settings. Then you can actually browse with any browser on a laptop, a phone, a tablet to the P3 controller, and then you will see a full web page interface where, yes, you cannot really control a lot on the P3, but it's more made for fixed installations. You can see if all fixtures are online. You can see if the video input is coming. So you have a live preview on the web page from the video feed from the media server. You see if fixtures are online, overheating. You can actually trigger presets. You can see if ArtNet is coming in. So you have some basic control, but it's mainly a monitoring function using the P3 built in web server. So that's really good to know, both for fixed installations, but also for rental use. Just put a little Wi-Fi on the P3 so you can actually on a tablet see if everything's fine from wherever you are in the venue. So that's the other thing, is the built-in web server, which is a great remote, mainly monitoring tool, not remote control tool. Yeah, so that's basically it. The third thing, which is also good to know, which I think you've done quite a few times, is because you can't walk around with a P3 controller, you can actually put P3 over a Wi-Fi. So what I think you've done for some trade shows,
for mapping,
for mapping and addressing the fixtures, is you have your P3 controller with the network plugged in. So what you do is, just for mapping and addressing, you unplug the cable from the P3 and you plug it into a Wi-Fi access point. And then you grab a laptop running P3 PC, connect to that access point, and point the P3 to your Wi-Fi card. Then you will actually have a wireless P3 to the network. So then your laptop will show up all the fixtures here in Discover devices over Wi-Fi. And then I can walk around with my laptop to create my map, to also use things like quick addressing and patching. I can do all prepping on my laptop while walking around. I actually did it myself in a nightclub where there was fixtures installed 360. So I really had to move around. So you can actually do test patterns, addressing, mapping on your laptop, completely wireless from running P3 PC over a Wi-Fi network. And then when you're done, you copy the show file from that P3 PC on a USB stick, plug it into the P3 controller, load that show file, and then you unplug the network, the P3 network, from the Wi-Fi access point and plug it back into the rack mount P3 controller, and then he's running the show. So that's also a nice workaround, using P3 PC as not as a remote, but as a mobile P3 controller for addressing and mapping.
Tool, basically.
As a setup tool, yeah. Of course, with a real P3 remote, it will be easier. You don't need to reconnect anything. Your P3 PC will connect directly to your rack mount unit. But so far, this P3 over Wi-Fi is a great solution. I wouldn't recommend it to run a show over Wi-Fi.
No, not to send video.
No, not for bandwidth. Latency would be kind of significant issues there. But for just addressing, mapping, running test patterns, verifying your map, P3 over Wi-Fi is a great workaround.
Yeah, or just trigger light all during build-up, so you just have the test pattern scrolling, so you can see whenever you connect a Skeptron or Fatron or something, you just see them popping up online and verifying that they actually work, that you actually made that little click on the cable. So you didn't just put the fixture up, you actually plugged it in as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So you don't need to lower the truss afterwards.
Yeah, so just to summarize, so yes, there will be a dedicated P3 remote coming. Workaround 1 is the website, mainly for monitoring. Workaround 2 is P3 PC with a Wi-Fi connection for addressing, mapping, and verifying your rig.
Yeah, I need to add the fourth one, sorry, KVM.
Yes, a remote KVM.
More,
yeah, a remote KVM is also something that some people use, like KVM over and a network cable. Yeah, true.
So, still no more in the Q&A, so we'll go on with another. Oh no! So here there comes one. Is there a console? I guess that means the rack mount unit. That it's not just a P3 or not just a PC software. There is an actual processor.
Okay. So yeah, I'm just reading the question myself here, Bjorn.
Yeah.
Is there a console? Oh, you mean like a console for type? No, I think she means like typing in commands like on a console, like a command line console.
Oh yeah.
Or not? Do you mean like a command line console where you can type in commands, or do you mean like a console, a P3 console, like a lighting console? Please clarify. Thank you. Lighting console. No. So the P3 controller is not a lighting console. So do I have this slide handy? I can probably let me just grab a slide to clarify that a little bit. Let me grab my training slides. Webinar, last one. It comes up on the right screen. Okay. Oh, yeah. So I hope you're seeing the PowerPoint, right, Bjorn?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, cool. So the P3 controller usually lives between media server and the console and the actual fixture. So taking a step back, what the P3 does, the P3 communicates with the fixtures over network, whether it's creative fixtures like Skeptrons or Fatrons, or moving heads with P3 capabilities such as the Mac RPXL or the Mac Allure. You have a P3 network to all those fixtures. Of course, all those fixtures can also be run without a P3 in the middle. If you just want to run them on DMX or ArtNet, that's also possible. What we're showing here is the scenario with a P3 controller in the middle. So what happens there is the P3 takes care of the mapping of all the fixtures. So he gives them a position on the video. The P3 controller also addresses and patches all the fixtures. So you no longer need to run to any of the fixtures to address them. That's all being handled from the P3. But actually running the show is still done from a lighting console and media server. So the P3 gets a video feed from a media server or a media laptop or a VJ software. It gets a DMX or ArtNet stream from a console, and then the P3 merges the video and the DMX to the fixture. So yes, in most cases, there is a lighting console. Some of the fixtures like Skeptrons, you can also run on a system with just a media server to a P3 to the fixtures, no console, and then treat them as pure video products. But for most fixtures, like Mac RPXL is a great example, you would most of the time have a lighting console for pan, tilt, zoom, and then a media server for doing some of the Aura pixel mapping effects. But in any way, as mentioned, you can run with video, with console, or with both. It's quite, it works either way. And of course, just to absolutely make this clear, all these products can also be used without P3, just directly on a lighting console. So the P3 is not a mandatory tool. It's only a great tool if you want to merge video and lighting to those fixtures and want to have an easy solution to map it, address it, and configure it. I hope that answers your question, Jennifer.
Yeah. Then we'll crack on with another one. Yeah, good. We see it does clarify. Perfect. We have another presenting question. I saw the new pixel mapping input function in an earlier training. Can you show it again and explain how many universes it will support?
Pixel mapping in, oh yeah, okay, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I guess that's the new function. I guess he or she
the
means
5.2
yeah, okay. Let me quickly clean up my map to do that. So how P3 has always been working is like this. So you map the fixtures. Here you go. You map the fixtures to video, and that's it. You can't pixel map. It's always video mapped. So what I've put here, just taking a step back on the canvas, is 6 video Fatrons. I mapped them out. Now they are running video from the video input to my P3 controller. Now, what we introduced with version 5.2, which is due later this summer, is that you can also pixel map. On top of sending video to fixtures, you can also pixel map those fixtures. So I will now show how that's done. So the mapping is done. They have a position, they get video. Now I also want to map them to DMX. So I go to my DMX in motion view. I take my fixtures and I say I want to map them in the new hybrid mode. The hybrid mode is a new DMX mode. It allows you to toggle between video controlled fixtures and DMX controlled fixtures using a new P3 switch channel. But I will show right away how that works. So I'll say those 6 Fatrons, you can, in hybrid mode, you can see in how many segments and how many blocks you want to split that fixture. You can say 1 pixel per segment. That would mean that every LED, and in a Fatron there's 200, every LED has 3 DMX channels. So 1 pixel gets 1 set of RGB, and you can freely decide that. But you can also look at it the other way. It's like how many segments per fixture. So I would say, well, those video Fatrons, I want to put them in blocks of 10, meaning that every bar is split into 10 blocks of 10 centimeters. So for this example, I'll just take that. I'll say those Fatrons hybrid mode, 10 segments per fixture on my pixel mapping, consecutive channels, and I put them on ArtNet 1.1. So now they are patched here, and I can on live value see that actually something is already happening. So I will go to my console, and I'm a little bit old school. I'm still using the very old Martin MPC. I have the MA3 box here, but I haven't gotten to spend enough time with it to feel comfortable during a webinar, sorry. So what I've patched on my console is basically the same. I've patched a P3 fixture in 10 pixel hybrid mode, 6 of those, which corresponds to my patch there. So now let me quickly grab those fixtures. So clear, clear, clear. I would select fixture 1 through 6. I would put them at full. And you can see the mode is set to DMX. So if I look in my preview, you will see that those fixtures are now in DMX mode, which means that the DMX controller is determining the colors of those fixtures. So in DMX mode, it's based on what the console sends. In video mode, it's based on the video. And bear in mind there that in video mode, it's always pixel per pixel. So even on your pixel map, if you decide I make big blocks for my pixel mapper, in video mode, it's always every pixel is video mapped individually. So that never affects the video part. So in DMX mode, then of course, I can take my RGB cells. I can, of course, from my console, just dial in any color I want, because now it's just a DMX controlled fixture. And of course, I can also use FX engine on my console now. So I could do, let's take a white magenta thingy. If that's, I'm just taking a color that stands out on the camera. So I can do assign blue step and then add some steps to it. So now I'm basically doing a pixel mapping from my console using the new hybrid mode. And you'll see that it's the control per color is in these blocks of 10 centimeter. That's because in the hybrid mode, I patched them in 10 segment mode. I could have chosen any number. I could set 200 segments and then every LED would be an RGB channel. Of course, that starts eating up channels / parameters on your console. So that's why we make it freely choosable. So this is how you pixel map in the new software. So you can basically override the video from any pixel mapping on your desk. And bear in mind, this is on a fixture per fixture basis. So I could say, hey, I want to go back to video, or I could say fixture, I'm probably not zoomed out all the way. No, that's why I was getting confused. I could say, well, fixture 3 to 4. I want to put you guys, that was a selection issue. 3 to 4, enter. I want to put you guys in DMX mode. So you can really, per fixture, let's put them back in video mode. I could say, well, 1 plus 3 plus 5, you go to DMX mode, and the other ones keep playing video. So this really allows you from the console to decide for each fixture at any queue at any given moment, would they be running video, or would I map them or control them from my desk? So this is great for flexibility while programming, whereas in the old software, it was always video. So it was very difficult if somebody said, yeah, okay, you have this wall of 100 captures here, but those 5 up there, can you put them solid red for this song? Then you would need to do something with the video to color them red. But now with the new hybrid mode coming in 5.2, from the desk, you can just grab those 5 fixtures and dial a call and put them in DMX mode, and then set the color from the console. So this is, yeah, it really allows you to program both ways. I mean, some stuff like fluid waves and patterns are much easier with video, but like solid colors and bumps and flashes and chases are much easier to program with the console. So now with the new hybrid mode, you can actually, yeah, program both ways and just create the look in the system what's for you the easiest. Is it with a piece of content or is it with a piece of programming? So yeah, that's basically what hybrid mode allows you to do.
And how many universes will it support?
Oh, that's a very good question.
The crucial one.
That's the crucial one, yes. So right now, as part of the same software update coming, we are bumping the amount of universes of ArtNet input to the P3 controller up to 128 universes. I've actually been testing and playing with it this week. It seems to work fairly reliable. There's still some performance improvements to be done, of course. We're not at release state. So yes, you will get 128 universes of ArtNet input. So that's, yeah, that's a lot. That's a big improvement because previously it was 32 on the P350, 153 on it, and only 4 on the P3 PC. All of those machines will be bumped up to 128 universes of ArtNet input, giving you a lot more freedom for using the pixel mapping and hybrid mode on the P3 controller. And
eventually streaming ACN, right?
Oh yeah, I just saw the question from David. Yes, streaming ACN is very high on our list. Just like I mentioned NDI earlier, it will not be in 5.2 because all the effort in 5.2 was on the new hybrid mode and also the new free scaling mode. But streaming ACN is high on the list for the next version. Yes, yes, it should not be that much work, but yes, it's coming most likely in 5.3 in autumn.
Sounds good. And then I think Laura said we're reaching the time limit. So Laura, do you want to take over from here? Because I think we've answered the questions that has come in the Q&A session.
Sure, thanks guys. Appreciate the presentation. This was a really unique way of doing the presentation. I think everybody appreciated having the opportunity to send in their questions, so thank you for that. If you're interested in attending any future sessions, as always, you can check out the calendar on pro.harman.com. And as I mentioned in the intro, we're adding new sessions all the time. We have over 20 sessions for July and August right now. So check that out, and we look forward to seeing you at future presentations. Thanks again, guys, and everybody have a great day.
Thank you for joining. Have a nice evening, day, wherever your time zone you're in. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye,
Thank
guys.
you. Bye-bye.